Good morning. It's time to get in touch. Brought to you by Geisinger Muncie and Jersey Shore. State-of-the-art healthcare close to home. Every week, this public affairs show shines a spotlight on people and programs in our communities that improve the quality of life in Lycoming County and beyond. I'm Freddi Hammer, host of In Touch and news director at Backyard Broadcasting. We are talking today about supporting a great local nonprofit and some exciting upcoming performances, all with the Uptown Music Collective in Williamsport this spring. Joining us is Jared Mondell. He's the Assistant Executive Director and Marketing Director at the Uptown Music Collective. Thanks for coming in today, Jared.
Thanks for having me, Freddi. I love being here.
Oh, it's wonderful, and I love going to those shows for the Uptown Music Collective. Those kids, that's what you hear all the time,
That's
I bet.
exactly what I hear, but I never tire of hearing it, to be honest with you. So
There's a great show coming up. It's Women of Rock 2. I mean, I'm thinking about the girls that you have, some great voices that can do this.
So we're suckers for sequels at the Uptown Music Collective.
Yeah.
And we did a Women of Rock show probably 5-6 years ago now.
Okay.
Where we did Pat Benatar and Heart.
Yeah.
And the kids were going through the archives and they're like, what if we revisited that, but we kind of tweaked it a little bit. So like if you read the story that we put up on the website, it's like, Pat Benatar won the epic showdown or something to that effect. And this time she's against Joan Jett and the Pretenders. And so we just we formulated that because the kids were really into that type of that 80s rock right now.
Yeah.
And they wanted to revisit it for one of the shows of the season. And we thought that it was a good opportunity. And we know that this area, especially in our fan base, is always up for these types of shows.
Sure.
So this past season so far, we had the 25th anniversary, which was epic.
Fantastic.
In November. That was fun having, almost 100 alumni back on stage and doing like our bread and butter stuff. We're doing Rolling Stones, we're doing Led Zeppelin. And then in January, we kind of went off the beaten path a little bit.
Yeah.
I keep saying, we're doing something a little more modern. That said, these were bands that were popular 25 years ago, but it was more modern for us. And now we're kind of going back to our classic rock stuff for the 80s. And the rehearsals are going great. The kids are super excited. They're really into it. So I'm really excited for people to come and see this show.
Well, people talk about them all the time, but people may not really know what it's like to be a member of the Uptown Music Collective. I mean, how do they do their schooling and then come to see you?
Sure. So if you think about it, strip it back into the simplest of terms.
Okay.
Because at the core of it, we're a music school, we're an after-school program. Okay. So the foundation starts with private lessons, classes, and workshops. We have an adult program. So Freddi, you want to come and you want to learn how to play guitar.
Yeah.
So you sign up, fill out an information form on our website. Our admissions and enrollment director, Brendan, he gets that. And on that form, you're going to say, I'm available these days and these times, and this is the instrument that I'm looking for. He's going to match you up with a teacher that has that availability, work all of that stuff out, and then you get started in your lessons. And then if there are classes and workshops available that you would like to take, you can take those classes and workshops as well. They're included in the tuition that you would pay for as a student. And that's the same for adult program or for a kids program. Now, admittedly, the selection for adults is a little bit slimmer than the selection for kids. The biggest program we have, we call the UMC program, which is a program that starts at 8 years old and will run to 21 years old.
Okay.
But core students are 8 and 18, basically middle school, high school is where we're at.
Would they be able to take like a study hall at the end of their day and come a little earlier, or does that not happen?
Not really, although it's something that we have discussed in the past about, with this being still the 25th anniversary of the collective, we've been throwing around a lot of ideas like looking forward. And that's something that we would eventually like to incorporate down the road is how we can do that. Funny enough, you bring that up, a quick story. I was a student at the collective, and how I got my start was I was attending, it's St. John Newman now. It was Bishop Newman at the time. Now they have a stellar music program. At the time, they did not have the best of music programs. And I was taking guitar lessons, and I wanted to learn how to take music theory. And I managed to work it out with the vice principal at the time, Judy Fulmer, who was friends with Dave Brumbaugh.
Okay. That
I could go to the collective and take music theory classes at the collective from Dave, and it would count as credit for me.
Oh, nice.
At school, which was perfect because then I got an extra study hall at school, and then I got the music class that I was looking for at night, and it counted. So I've always had that kind of tickling in the back of my brain for the future to see if that's something that we can work out.
Sure.
But right now, unfortunately, we don't. But I will say that there are a lot of students that they take our classes we work in tandem with some of the other high schools where they feel that they're getting a little bit more of an edge when they take their high school theory classes because they have worked at our level of theory classes. So there's a lot of ins and outs of it. But like I said, to your question about how you get involved, a lot of people think like you have to audition and you have to already have this certain level of talent to be involved because they see the shows and they see the kids performing. But realistically, you just have to have a drive. If you want to learn music, no matter race, color, creed, economic status, you can come to the Uptown Music Collective.
You do have scholarships available.
We do have scholarships available. Scholarship season will be kicking off in May.
Okay.
And our entire scholarship program is built solely on the fact that Dave Brumbaugh has never turned a student away for not being able to pay.
That's so cool.
Going back to, again, when I was a student, there were a couple of my friends that would come in weekly and empty trash and vacuum the collective and basically work it out in trade with Dave to get lessons. And, obviously we've grown a lot since then, but that was kind of the catalyst for our scholarship program. And our scholarship program grows every year, but no matter what, the bare minimum to be a part of the Uptown Music Collective, to be a student at the Uptown Music Collective, is a drive and a dedication to wanting to learn music.
We were talking earlier about the early Uptown Music Collective location, which was over the barbecue place on Market Street or something, wasn't it? Did you go there?
Yes, that's where So the first location was 445 Market Street, which, it's the old barbecue joint, but before that it was Joanna's Bakery.
Oh, okay. So people know that.
Yeah, it was Joanna's Bakery on the first floor, and then Dave and Xavier Francis had it was basically a 2-bedroom apartment that they rented out and turned into the Uptown Music Collective. There was at my time when I was a student there, that was when my brother got started, Brendan, Colin Beatty, all these guys that are still either on the periphery of the collective or, Brendan's one of the center spokes in the wheel for the collective at this point in time. But we all started there. There was about 40 of us, and we were like the island of misfit toys, at this small little 2-bedroom apartment that Dave was teaching out of. And then around 2006, we moved to 848 West 4th Street. And we were there for a number of years.
Okay.
And then around 2016, the opportunity came to move to the Trade and Transit 2 Center, which is where we're at now.
That must have been cavernous.
Oh, my goodness. Well, it came with, it was pros and cons.
Okay.
The spot that we were at 848 was the rectory to the church. And it was an old Victorian house. So it was funky. Yeah. There was all this really cool wallpaper, and there was pocket doors. It was not conducive for a music school by any stretch of the imagination, to the point where we had to rent extra space from the church to put our drum lessons in the basement of the church, because when we tried to have the drum lessons in the actual house next to, say, a guitar lesson or a vocal lesson, there was no soundproofing.
It's not happening, yeah.
So when we had the opportunity to move to where we're at now at 144 West 4th and Trade and Transit 2 building, that was one of the biggest things. We were like, can we get soundproof doors and soundproof walls? That would be super awesome. And it's great. It's hard to believe that we've been there for now this August, it'll be 10 years, which is crazy.
So sending the kids out as smaller ensembles, is that an idea that was early on, or did that come about later?
You mean as far as the performances are concerned?
Yeah, you have different performance bands that go out and do different things.
So the smaller bands, that's always been a thing. Dave's number one North Star for educating is, especially for music, but you really don't know what you know until you have to do it.
Sure.
So even in the early days, Dave would be sending, small groups out to play a First Friday, or we always play in downtown for Backyard Broadcasting's 4th of July.
Yeah.
I did that one when I was a student, and when I was in college, I would come back. And
you guys open and you just kill it. It's amazing.
We love it. And like I said, that's one of those things. That's why our relationship with you guys here at Backyard is so deep, is because we've been working with you guys since the very beginning.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Back when we were on Pine Street.
Exactly. Yeah. So what happened was that kind of thought that Dave had, it evolved into what is now what we call the Major Performance Program, which are the big shows at the Arts Center. But it also evolved into what we now call our community performance groups. So those students will audition, and then they'll get together, and then we will place them in smaller bands. They will get a repertoire of songs, usually 10 or 12 songs to start. They will meet weekly like a band would, and they put together their set. And then, there's oversight, whether it's Willie Ort, who helps run that program, or Dave, or even myself and Brendan will pop in and we'll see, how they're going, if they're having issues with anything, whatever. But then once we know that, okay, this band has a 45-minute set of material, Willie Ort will go out and he'll book them places. Cool. Or Willie gets the phone call, hey, we're having a party and we need a band to play that plays, 90s covers. Oh, well, we happen to have a band that plays 90s covers and they can do a 45-minute set, that's what we'll use for First Fridays now. And usually, again, for Set the Night to Music, we play over at Little League. We play all over the place anymore. So it's fun.
Tell me how the kids change from the beginning to their performance moments. Do you see a lot of changes?
100%.
Yeah.
It's really fun. I mean, I've been a staff member of the collective coming up. It'll be 19 years this September. So I've seen a lot of how these students come in, and there's always that one moment. And usually like the student will come in and they'll be really kind of introverted. You'll say hi to them and they'll barely wave or make eye contact with you.
Absolutely.
I get it. We've all been there.
They're learning.
But as they get more comfortable, I referenced the collective earlier as the island of misfit toys. The collective to me has always been a place where it has gotten a lot different since I was in high school many eons ago. But when I was in high school, there wasn't a place where you could go and play rock music and meet peers and people your own age that were into the same stuff that you were into. If you wanted to play music back in the day in school, it had to be like orchestra or band or something like that.
Okay.
The collective offered that alternative, but we were kind of the quote unquote outsiders. And there's still that underlying mentality at the school. I mean, I grew up a metalhead. There is an underlying thing of usually young metalheads that are kind of quiet and introverted. And then when they get into their room, they're blasting Slayer and Pantera and Metallica just to kind of let it all out. Well, now they're learning how to play that. But as they're learning how to play that, they're gaining this confidence that is not only on their instrument, but it's confidence within their lifestyle. And they just kind of start to grow with us and they get more and more comfortable. And, you will see it for the kids in the performance program where, they may be pretty tepid their first time out on stage and they might kind of shy away from the actual physical spotlight to then the next year, all of a sudden something just clicks and they get a solo and they're out there and they're rock stars about it,
Yep.
But even the kids that don't perform, the performance program is really 20% of the school.
That's the thing we see. There's so much more.
That's literally the tip of the iceberg. There's tech. There's just kids that they don't want to perform, or they've got so many other things going on, but they want to add this into their repertoire that they just come and they take lessons.
That's cool.
But when you talk to the teachers, they'll say the same exact thing that I'm saying about the performance program with kids in their lessons. When they sit down at the first time, the kid may barely be talking to them, barely making eye contact. And then all of a sudden, just something snaps. They get comfortable. They get excited. They find something that they can latch on to. And of course, it comes with their growth and their age as well. But the best thing that I can hear when we speak to alumni is when they come back and they say, it's not necessarily the music skills they learned, it's everything else.
Yeah.
Working at the collective with, the teachers and the staff and the students really prepared me for X, Y, or Z. I can be a leader in my college classes and I can do all of these different things. So it's really on the surface, we're a little rock and roll school. But when you just scratch just slightly below that surface, you're going to find that it is so much more.
And so much to look forward to. I mean, look at the people that have gone on to do stuff. You have Tess is going to be on TV this week.
Tess is on, what did I say? It was Law and Order, right?
Yeah.
And she's, I think she's back on Broadway, as I heard that. Gabe Stillman is getting ready to drop an album at the end of the month.
And how incredible to see him open for things here in Williamsport. I love that.
Oh, 100%. I poked fun at him a little bit that he was snowbirding, but he bailed out a PA right before the snow flew and went down and moved to New Orleans for a little bit.
Okay.
Dylan Rockoff's always doing crazy, awesome things.
I love his videos. His little TikToks.
I was going to say his social media presence is through the roof. Morgan Miles just dropped a new album. She's got videos coming out. There, all of these folks that are, again, it's interesting when you think of that. Those are the people that you see that, yes, they went to the collective. That's what they took from it, and they decided to make this their profession. But there are also a myriad of students that went to the collective and, quite frankly, were pretty high ranking at the collective at their time. And then they leave, and they might never really play, we'll say, quote, professionally again. You know what I mean? But it's all of the experiences and all of that additional education that they take with them, that they're taking the lessons that they learned from the collective and making it applicable in their daily lives. So whether it is people like Gabe and Tess and, Tori Harding and all of these guys that are really taking a swing and making a run at it, and we're so proud of them, we're also extremely proud of all of the collective fans that has, come through and gone on and still carry the education that they learned beyond the music. And it's now something that we can tell our current students. When we were talking about the 25th anniversary, we were like, you guys are standing on this stage being able to perform because you're standing on 25 years of legacy that was built by all of these kids.
Yep.
As a musician growing up in Williamsport, the Arts Center was like Madison Square Garden to us as kids.
Sure.
And the fact, like, when we got the call, it was in 2006. Rob Steele, who was the executive director of the Arts Center at the time, came to Dave. We had previously done a show. It used to be a Quality Inn over on 15.
Okay.
We rented out their ballroom. That's where we did some of our first shows. Like, we did the very first Dark Side of the Moon over there.
Okay.
We did our first tribute to Woodstock over there. And Rob had come to one of those shows and saw it. And he approached Dave and he was like, would you guys be interested in doing a show at the CAC? And we're like, really? We could do that? Every year that goes past with the collective, we're like, this is so fun that it just keeps evolving and keeps growing. And we keep finding new fans, but we keep bringing our old fans with us, and they're excited to watch the change. So it's exciting.
Well, we're excited about Tapestry. You're going to be doing that coming up in April, a whole tribute to Carole King.
So we are going to be doing Tapestry on the 24th and the 25th of April. So that's closing out our formal performance season, or our proper performance season, I should say. The students came to us and they wanted to do kind of like a 70s singer-songwriter kind of thing. We were all talking about, okay, what could anchor this and maybe something that we haven't touched on before. And Tapestry by Carole King, like soup to nuts, is a solid album. I said, so what if we anchor it with that? That will be the second set. And then the first set, we'll do like her contemporaries. Again, singer-songwriters of the same era, around the same. Like? James Taylor, Carly Simon, Linda Ronstadt, even like the kids, they really wanted to like throw some Jim Croce in there, the band, like stuff like that. So I was like, this could be a really fun show. Again, going back to kind of the bread and butter of the collective, doing the classic rock stuff, but doing it in a different way. Taking a breather from the normal and just kind of trying to stretch our wings a little bit and see how we could do it. So we're really excited about that show as well, because I think, again, our core fan base is going to be really excited about it, but I think we could see some new fans come out of that as well. So.
You have a People's Choice coming up this summer. That's another way that you sort of stretch your wings, I'm thinking.
Well, so how the People's Choice works, we would be sitting around talking about shows. Like, we would wrap up our performance season in April, and then in May, we usually get into like what we call encore season, where we'll do a couple small reprises of shows at different places. But then we'd start to get into the summer, starting to pick what we're going to do for the next season. We really sat there and go, I wonder what people want from us.
Right.
Just said, okay, well, why don't we ask them? So we started this thing called the People's Choice, where the first round, we'll run it for like 2 weeks. It's wide open. You can submit any idea you want. You want us to cover Liberace's greatest hits. Okay, put it on the list. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then what we do is we tally up what everybody has said, and then we look at what is realistic possibilities for us to execute. Take all these factors in, and we'll drill down the first round to usually it's about 10, and that's all you can vote on is those 10. You get to vote once, pick who you want, and then we'll run those numbers. And that is traditionally our January show, is the People's Choice Show, because that's also our fundraising show. Granted, we're a nonprofit, so every show we put on is a fundraising show, but this one is more specific to the scholarship program that you were talking before. So that's how we came to the 2000s, like Back to the Garage show that we did in January. It came up, and the winner was like 2000s alt rock. And we were talking to the kids about it, and the kids were like super excited. That, like I said, granted, maybe our core audience isn't necessarily super familiar with, but we knew that they would at least know the songs from the radio.
Yeah.
That's how we came to that. So that was all based off of People's Choice voting. And then what we also do is, because we're asking people what they want to see, I'd be lying if I didn't say maybe it didn't win, but maybe one or two others got really high voting. So we'll sit down and we'll talk about it. And it is truly a collaborative effort between the staff and the students.
You get lots of feedback from the people, and I know many people love the Uptown Music Collective. And now you're going to be a part of Raise the Region, where we can go on and help you. And anybody can go on and help, coming up March 11th and 12th.
Yes. Well, and I appreciate you bringing that up. Fundraising has been hard lately for a lot of nonprofits across the board, and the collective is not exempt from that. So we are always so happy and thankful that the First Community Foundation Partnership of Pennsylvania, as well as the folks at Blaze Alexander Family Dealerships and all of the other sponsors that put this thing together for the nonprofits, and we've been participating in it since day one. And that's what we've been working on this week. So it's funny because we're working on Raise the Region, but we're also putting the finishing touches on the show. So the collective is a hive of activity at the moment. We're really excited to participate in it. And, the outpouring of support that we see from our community, it always it makes us feel really, really good. And we know that we're doing something that is, life-changing, because people are taking the time. And even if they're giving us $10, they're still giving us $10 that we didn't have.
That's right.
And we're really thankful for that type of stuff. So this year we have a goal. Admittedly, it is our biggest goal ever. But like I said, fundraising has been rough.
Yeah.
So we have set a goal for $40,000 to raise in 30 hours.
That sounds doable, Jared.
So, well, I truly hope that it is, Freddi. And we've also, for those that are familiar with Raise the Region, there are prize windows that people can kind of target and hit. And
stretch funds
and all that stuff. So I strongly encourage anyone who is a fan of the Uptown Music Collective, or if you're not and you want to become a fan of the Uptown Music Collective, go to our social media channels. Bree Eisenhart, our in-house graphic designer and photographer and jack of all trades, marketing assistant, she just did interviews with about 9 or 10 students.
Wow.
Basically asking them, why is the collective important to you? And why do you feel people should support the collective and help it keep going on and being able to serve our mission in the community? And the answers we got were pretty amazing. So we're going to be putting that together. We're going to be dropping that next week. That's going to be on YouTube and on the Raise the Region channel and on our Facebook page. And if you can and you have the ability, please think about donating to the collective during Raise the Region. It goes a really long way, and we really do need the help this year. So,
well, we love supporting you, Jared Mondell. You're the Assistant Executive Director at the Uptown Music Collective and Marketing Director, so you're handling so many things. You got lots of balls in the air.
It keeps me busy. It keeps me out of trouble, Freddi.
Well, it's lovely to speak with you, and we're just so thrilled that the kids are doing so well, and we just want to, it's sort of like our hometown group of kids, We want to own them as well.
Yes. Well, the community absolutely does, and we feel that from the community, so we enjoy it.
Well, thank you for all that you do, and thank Dave Broombaugh as well, because without him, we wouldn't have this.
Absolutely, I will.
Thanks for being on In Touch today.
Thank you so much.
In Touch is locally produced in our studios at 1685 4 Mile Drive in Williamsport. To get in touch with us for questions, comments, or topic ideas, call weekdays 570-323-8200 or email me at fhammer@backyardbroadcasting.com. For archived files of our In Touch shows, find our Backyard Podcasting link on any Backyard Broadcasting website, or subscribe to our YouTube channel, Backyard Broadcasting. The programming discussed here on In Touch does not necessarily reflect the feelings or opinions of the management or staff. Thanks for listening to In Touch. Brought to you by Geisinger, Muncie, and Jersey Shore. State-of-the-art healthcare close to home.